Old countries dwell upon their past as people do. Out of the ruins, the history and tradition of bygone days, they shape the present and their future. Yet, seldom is the past preserved and made to live as it is here. This is our country, where the past meets the present. The gray country, the cloudy, shallow beaches. The green country, the fertile plains of Flanders and her ancient towns. The black country of the Borinage, from Charleroi to Liège, a belt of coal mines, slag heaps, molten steel. All this is Belgium. Since early history, this land has known but little peace. A Celtic chieftain named Ambiorix fought Caesar's mighty legions near Tongres, Belgium's oldest town. The tombs of fallen legionnaires bear witness to a stormy past, as do the fortresses of later days. La Roche, Bouillon, Dinant, Namur. On Belgium's many rivers and waterways, past our towns and by the farms, through plains and valleys that have echoed to many a conqueror's drum, traveled the boatsmen on their barges, linking in peaceful trade many nations, which so often through the centuries were divided by bitter enmity. And so another workday has begun for our farmers in the fields, the tradesmen in the towns, the fishermen who ply the coastal waters in their tiny vessels, so peaceful seems the land, so warm and sunny, and yet the mood may change as storm clouds suddenly, as if from nowhere, blacken out the sun, and peasants anxiously watch leaden skies that may bring sudden hails before the crops are in. Eastward move the barges from the coast through the lowlands of Flanders, slowly traversing the narrow Ostend Canal toward the locks of Bruges. Bruges, once the undisputed capital of Europe, a rich metropolis full of medieval pageantry, a patron of the arts, until the river Zwijn was silted up and blocked the outlet to the sea. For Bruges' prosperity, it was the death knell. And here is Bruges. Beyond these granite gates that have withstood the test of centuries lives yesterday. But let him tell whose home this is.
14th century. And the other one is the emigrate from 16th century, maar is restored. On your left side, please, is the old Palace of Frank. Palace of Justice, now 15th century. You see it on your right side, a Pelican House, 1634. You see the pelican above the door there. On your right side is an old English consulate from 17th century. Please, ladies, sirs, when you get on the bridge is very, very low. All right, thank you. On the other side from the lock house is the Lake of Love. In French says it the Lac d'Amour. On your right side is the Hospital of St. John, 1188. Inside the hospital is a Memling Museum. A very fine, spacious museum.
This was the time of Bruges' greatest glory, when men, while living well on earth, would lift their minds to heaven. There was a tide of great religious paintings by Memling and Jan van Eyck. The latter painted the favored theme, the Madonna and Child. Family portraits, too, were done in the religious manner. Hans Memling painted Madame Moril, kneeling in prayer with her 11 daughters. And to the left, her husband, his patron saint, and his 5 sons. Bruges was a city of wealth, a banking center for the rich merchants of Venice and Genoa, for the Fuggers of Augsburg, the Medici of Florence. Her warehouses filled with imported goods from 17 nations, her citizens proud and free, jealously guarding their charter of privileges, locked with 10 locks in a chamber high up in the city's belfry, their towering symbol of freedom.
You were 49 bells for the carillon. Look first, you see it first, the tower of the church Notre Dame. Yes, 350 feet, 15th century. Look on your left side, please. You see the nice houses here in old Fleming style. You see the school here for ladies, they make it Bruges laces. You see there?
And thus did Bruges, remaining as she always was, become a quaint old town, a jeweled memory of the past, a painter's paradise. For Bruges stood still, and time went on. But Ghent, that is another story. Adversity could never stop the city's progress, nor could her princely rulers tame her rebellious commoners for long. Led by a simple brewer, Jacob van Ardevelde, Ghent's people rose and fought for freedom. And centuries later, a weaver, Lieven Bouwen, saved the city from decline when he returned from England with the stolen secrets of the modern loom. Today, cotton imported from Egypt is transferred to barges, moved from the river Scheldt via the Ghent Canal into the textile mills of the city. The clatter of bobbins and spindles, the humming of motors is the music of modern Ghent. Her linen products, famed for strength, are made from native flax, grown on the plains of Flanders at Oudenaarde, Lissewege, Roselare, Dame, and Courtrai. Down the pretty valley of the Meuse, on to Namur and Liège. This is the other Belgium, the land of smoking chimneys, factories, cement plants, rolling mills, where towering pit heads and mountainous slag heaps cast their shadows. This is the Black Country, the land of the coal mines. Three times a day, around the clock, around the year, black, tired men emerge, and clean men enter. Taller grow the slag heaps, pushing into the countryside at Mons and Esden, Liège and Charleroi. But we must produce coal, the only raw material found in quantity in Belgian soil. 30 million tons a year and more. Coal to feed 3,000 Belgian engines every day. Coal to export. In trade for copper, rubber, iron ore, and other raw stuffs which the skill of Belgian craftsmen turns into finished goods that we can re-export for profit. glass workers form the molten glass into intricate and beautiful shapes for the world's markets. Around the clock, around the year, through searing heat, pours molten metal. Steel wire to make fences for Australia. Steel plate to be used in the shipyards of Antwerp. We repair ships. We build ships as good as anyone, faster than anyone. And we sail them all over the world. Antwerp, busiest harbor in Europe. We load and unload ships in record time. Because our coal production can never fill the needs of our modern expanding industry, oil is brought by tanker from Arabia, pumped into storage tanks in Antwerp harbor. Oil products move inland by tank truck. Chemical fertilizer manufactured in Liège, loaded in barges, transferred at Antwerp for shipment overseas. Malayan rubber for tires and belts. From Canada, lumber for furniture. Copra from the Belgian Congo to be processed for edible oils. From India, jute for the spinning mills of Ghent and Courtrai to be re-exported as yarn and cloth and sacks. Phosphate transshipped from France to Brazil. All these and 1,000 other things move through Antwerp, Belgium's door to the world. We are also a seafaring nation, and fishing yields us food for ourselves and for export. On Sunday, the farmer leaves his fields to attend his church. The grain is nearly ready for the harvest. Now the miller sets the sails of his windmill, and the time of reaping and grinding is at hand. When one sells a cow to the butcher, there's an art to bargaining. Listen.
Ja, kan er goed doen. Wat goed. Een wattenkoer. En hij ging ook bezig doen.
Ja, dat ruikt niet. Wattenkoer.
Een wattenkoer. Ah ja. En is dat zo'n hand wat er wel is?
Dat is in orde. Hoe
In
goed?
orde. En
Nou, je hebt dat
dek had
goed
er
vleerbeesten.
En hoe in de leed?
Ja, overal goed.
Hoe dat zo? En dan een jonge beest.
Eerste kwaliteit.
Eerste kwaliteit. Waar? Wanneer kan ik kijken, hè?
Eerste kwaliteit, bij tweede, derde kwaliteit.
Ja, dat is voor. Jammer. Dat was eerste kwaliteit. Dat is feitelijk tweede kwaliteit.
Op de zes onder boek.
Ja, dat zou niet te zijn, dat niet. Maar de deze dat ik aan, hè, was de 26 frank. Maar, na 60%, zelfs iets meer. Maar laat, we pakken nu 26 frank. Maar dat was wat anders.
Ja, maar kan ze hier storen?
Jammer. De duvelzak is nooit vol. Alleen, zeg dat wel eens. Zeg dat, ja, maar kom voort alweer. Je had je beklagen.
Ja, die kan hij zelf. Hoor dat ik eerst voor jou.
Ja, maar ik weet het wel, maar je had je beklagen weer.
Hoe dan ben ik zeer doen, hè? Wat je toe?
En wij had je beklagen.
Wat je toe?
Allee, zie maar,
Ja, maar hoe je het?
Allee, hoe?
Ja, dat vinden ze hier.
Allee, hoe?
Maar dat weet ik even,
Dat bestaat niet.
Ja, dat weet ik even.
Allee, hoe moet er lang over gedaan? Dan weet je wat dat doet?
Weet dat die karakter niet kennen, hè?
Maar als ik dan kom voor dat
Zoek
swing,
aan de portefeuille stikken in.
ja, als ik dan kom voor dat swing, alleen, nou, dus we zijn het akkoord voor 24 en
Wat de kost aan jou, hè?
Ja.
Dat staat in de andere boeken.
Ja, andere voeten.
Alle goede man.
Allee, het is goed, hè? Allee, en maar ze dan, want dan maar goed meedoen, hè?
Maar als je hard bent om je weg.
Ja, natuurlijk, je weet dat wel, dat zegt ze nou niet. Allee, het is gedaan, hè?
Goed.
Het akkoord. Hij moet er niet met de jongen kansen mee. Ah, je fluit de jongen. Dan komen we al dan kan dat nou toch komen.
And thus the work is done. The harvest safely in. The horse turned out to pasture. And now to play. History and legend come to life in our town and village festival. In the town of Ath, the giant horse Bayard, operated by 16 men dancing through the streets, carries the four sons of Aymon. And here is Archduke Albert and his spouse Isabel as they visited Ath to open the town hall, received by the mayor and his aldermen. Visitors from other lands, Italian fishermen on their barge holding at knife's point a captive savage. This armored lady represents the fighting spirit of the town of Ath. We call her Mamselle Victory. Ambiorix, the Celtic warrior, well over 12 feet high, perhaps not quite correct in costume, but surely martial looking. Just as tall as Samson of the Bible, hero of the Gunners Regiment of Ath, attired in a regimental uniform. But here the drums and trumpets announce a stately fete, the Omegang of Brussels, a pageant held in regal splendor in honor of Emperor Charles V and his sister Mary, Queen of Hungary. The fortresses have crumbled, and as the legends grow, the old men speak of battles that happened long ago. At Waterloo and Ypres, at Liège and at Bastogne lie many nations' soldiers, along with our own. Again, our hands are busy in field and factory, and we enjoy small pleasures. For once more, we are free.